You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
96 MLS has been the youngest in the league. From 10 teams to 30, playoffs and parity. Battered MLS bring local guests to cover games. Analysis firsthand, not Google like other lames. Stats and recaps cover the West and East. Can't forget, we're on Sean Johnson. Watch every week. DPs for the elite. 10 Gam get you the vets. Playoff trees as American as it gets. It's time to turn off the world, grab a drink and let's go. We're battered MLS fans, so lock in on the show. Battered MLS fans, so lock in on
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 95 of the Battered MLS Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Dan. You got on alongside me. I got two other Battered fans. I got one from up north, one from down south. So let's get it started. Let's start from my right, your left, Mr. Sam Rowan. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. Happy to be here for another week. I guess this is the last week, But it's been fun during these playoffs to go back and forth with you guys, chat with various people from around the league, and just looking forward to this weekend.
And we got Matt from SoFloSoccer. What's going on, Matt?
What's up, guys? No, we're feeling good. I'm feeling good about this Saturday. I'm very excited. This is my debut appearance on this show, so I'm very, very excited.
First time you've been on the MLS show?
I'm pretty sure, at least. I don't remember being on here, but I'm pretty sure it is.
All right. Well, we came on here and we're going to talk MLS Cup final. Two teams left after a long season, and we'll start with Sam. Sam, Vancouver. We brought it up on last night's MLS show that when I had you on for the preview back in February, the biggest topic of our conversation was, is Vancouver going to relocate? That was the biggest. That was it. Like, hey, are they going to relocate? We talked about on the pitch, but like that was the biggest part of our conversation. And here we are, and this has to be the best season in team history. You guys have won or made it to the final in every single thing that you participated in. You didn't participate in Leagues Cup because you gave your spot up to San Diego, but you might have made it to the final in that one the way you guys have been playing, and you ended up winning the summer with Thomas Mueller. How is everybody in Vancouver feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the vibes are high. The city's behind the team. We've seen it in Vancouver a lot where at times when the team struggles, support can be in and out. But when a team starts to build momentum in this city, people really get behind it. And we're definitely feeling that the last couple of weeks. Not only things I've experienced, but also like friends and family around, just the amount of buzz around the team, people that don't normally follow, aren't locked into what's going on, in the middle of the season in MLS. People are really invested now. And, like even some of the media requests and people reaching out that we don't normally hear from, you can definitely just feel a change in the city. And so it's a huge moment. And I think we're chatting about it a little bit right before the show, but this is an opportunity for both teams to cap off what has been a tremendous season for both of these groups, right? And this would be the perfect way for both teams to cap off that season. They can, both teams so good, like the battling for a supporter shield all the way throughout, making it to the finals or making it very deep in every competition they've been in. I think if you asked, near the end of the year, who are some of the best teams in MLS, it's Vancouver, Inter Miami, Philadelphia, maybe Cincinnati, maybe San Diego, but these are clearly kind of unlike last year where you had New York Red Bulls and LA Galaxy.
That was random.
Yeah.
These are two of the clear top five teams in MLS this year, right?
I think for the majority of the season, people said Vancouver was the best in the West, no matter what the standing said.
So I think it's just fantastic that we're getting to see two of these clearly best teams in the league battle one another in an MLS Cup final. And then the cherry on top is you've got, Mueller versus Messi as well. And I think that obviously does something for the international appeal, the global appeal to the game. And that's great for MLS. Like that's a marketing win. And, it also just helps, I think, continue to cement the impact, the legacy of MLS as a serious top 15, top 10-ish league in the world. So I just hope it's a really good match. I hope these two teams show why they're in this position, and we'll see what happens. And I'm sure obviously we're going to dive into some of the specifics as we go on
for
here.
sure. And then real quick, now that you brought up top 10 league in the world, it's my favorite league in the world, because what other league in the world? And I promise you're not going to find any other league that's had 10 champions over the last 13 seasons. You're not going to find any other league like that in the world. So that's why I like it. Matt, on the other side of things, Miami, I think Vancouver, I think, overachieved from what expectations were. I think Miami, from what their expectations were, have underachieved. What could you tell us about Inter Miami season?
I mean, yeah, when you put it that way, the Inter Miami board has promised us, the fans, that we were going to be extremely, extremely successful, winning a bunch of titles, winning trophies this season, and being really competitive in every competition possible. I mean, when you are given the best roster in MLS history, that is kind of the expectation that you would want. You have high expectations for this team to win. And, and then we go through the season. We crash out of the CCC by none other than Vancouver. We make a good run in Club World Cup, but, it is what it is. We're competing against the best teams in the world. We disgracefully lose in the League's Cup final. I was looking for a good word there. Disgracefully.
That was the perfect way to use it. Yeah.
Disgracefully lose in the League's Cup against Seattle. And am I missing one? No, I think that's it. And then
didn't win the Supporter Shield.
And we didn't win the Supporter Shield. So out of all of the tournaments and all the competitions that we've been in, we walk away with 0 official trophies. And then now we've technically won the Eastern Conference, but I don't think that's counted as a. I think it's a lowercase W. I think it's a lowercase W, but it's not really an official title. But yeah, no, considering our standards compared to Vancouver, this is a rather disappointing season. But I mean, it's good for you guys. Great for you guys.
Well, Matt brought it up. Miami bowed out early in the Champions Cup, even though everybody felt like they had the path to make it to the final. Mm-hmm. Vancouver dominated those 2 games, but the teams have changed a bit since then. Sam, what has changed for Vancouver since the last time Miami and Vancouver faced each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think Thomas Muller is obviously like the very direct answer to that question, right? But it's also more than that. I think Sebastian Berhalter has continued to grow. Like, obviously he was good at that stage, but I think some people wondered whether that was just like a run in CONCACAF, but he's definitely proven over the remainder of the MLS season that, Andres Kubas and Sebastian Berhalter, especially now switching formations to more of like a traditional double pivot with Thomas Muller at that attacking midfield spot. Kubas and Berhalter have kind of cemented themselves as the double pivot to be beat in MLS in the second half. So that's something that's a little bit different. Also, no more Ranko Veselinovic, who's out for the year with injury. Mm-hmm. Now it's been a rotating cast of characters, but that rotating cast of characters at center back has been very good. Ralph Priso, who's a center defensive mid, but he's been tremendous in these playoffs. Matias Laborda, who's sometimes been a fullback, also been very good at the center back position when needed. And then Tristan Blackman, the defender of the year. We're going to have to see what his status is going into this weekend. So some defensive tweaks that might sound like a bit of a downgrade or a weakness, but Vancouver's found something chemistry-wise. And then I think up front, what Muller has done is having that like attacking midfield focal point. It's not necessarily been that Muller's been, just banging in like highlight reel goals, but I think the way he roams around, interprets space as he does, has opened up opportunities for Emmanuel Sabi and Ali Ahmed on the wings, gives a little more space for Brian White as that lone striker. Muller can make those runs and he can allow space for the fullbacks to drive forward. So I think it's diversified Vancouver's attack to an extent where it's made it quite difficult for opponents to know exactly how Vancouver is going to try to expose them on a match in, match out basis. Like one match, it could be one player, one match, it could be another. It could be through set pieces. It could be in transition. It could be through possession play. They've been very diverse. And I think that's been a significant part of their strength in the second half. And I think back in CONCACAF, they were a little more predictable than they are now.
And Mueller, I mean, I obviously haven't watched him as much as you have, but the little bit that I have been able to watch him, it almost seems like a coach on the field.
Well, certainly there was a lot of chat about that, especially in the San Diego match, where you could very clearly see that like all their pressing triggers were based on Jesper Sorensen just said, okay, Mueller, you know the cues. We're going to get you to manage that on behalf of the team. And they did something that's very stereotypical Vancouver Whitecaps this year. The moment they lose the ball, that first 5 seconds, the pressure is intense and they try to win it back as quickly as possible. And then they're quite patient in possession. And certainly Mueller has been leading that. I also think Brian White being back fully fit and starting again. We don't talk a lot about strikers pressing and their defensive work, but White provides real value there. And it does certainly make an impact for Vancouver. So yeah, he's definitely that on-field coach. You can see it in his demeanor and everything he does. And honestly, Mueller, in terms of like the on the ball, pure footballing stuff, like he hasn't been great in these playoffs, but it almost doesn't matter.
If I can make one comment about Mueller, like he is quite literally, I don't know if you guys know the term Raumdeuter.
Yeah. He
is quite literally the definition of a Raumdeuter, and he's a fantastic Raumdeuter. I don't know if Dan, you know what a Raumdeuter is. A Raumdeuter is a German term for football or soccer, and it quite literally means like space interpreter or space investigator, or I don't know what the other word was, but it's basically somebody who's able to exploit space or find space, make intelligent movements in between, players, they have good anticipation, good awareness, and it's quite. And I unfortunately, I can say, or I unfortunately have to say that I haven't watched Thomas Mueller play for Vancouver this season, which it sucks. But from my experience of watching Thomas Mueller regularly when he played in Europe and when he played for Germany, that he was just a master at that. And so I can only imagine the magic that he's doing over at, I can't even call it magic, but just the freakness that he's doing over there with you guys in Vancouver.
And I think interpreting that space has been, it's not just him popping up and getting on the ball. It's been him popping up and drawing defenders and then creating holes elsewhere on the pitch. Like that, I think. And because Vancouver's, been such a solid squad, I think that's really been helpful in a lot of ways.
Well, and then the speed, I think, is what Vancouver was really capitalizing on early in the season with Nelson, Sabi, Ali Ahmed. Like you said, they're a little less predictable now, and that's since the Champions Cup. But Matt, Inter Miami has also changed quite a bit since the Champions Cup also. Could you tell us what it is that you feel has been the difference between, April Inter Miami and the current Inter Miami?
Yeah, it feels like a million years ago. But I mean, and maybe some people think that there hasn't been a lot of changes, but there's been quite a few. I mean, it just in terms of personnel wise, I mean, we no longer have Redondo. Obviously, we now have RDP, Rodrigo de Paul, who's been running that midfield with Busi and doing a great job as of late. Segovia, I believe, was a starter back then. He's no longer is now. Now we're seeing more of Matteo Silvetti and Ashende kind of partnering up, and they're linking up really well in this playoff season. We're no longer seeing who else are we no longer seeing?
Suarez is no longer starting.
So Suarez is no longer starting. Ustadi has been dropped from the team, so now we have Rocco Rios Novo, who has been doing really well in Ustadi's place. Defensively, we have been conceding almost no goals. So defensively, we have definitely improved since, I want to say, October or September, since we lost against, I think it was Chicago, like 5-3 or something like that. We've been doing extremely well defensively, and we are just looking more of a threat, or we just look more in sync as a squad, as a unit. Now that we've dropped Suarez, we're adding younger guys like Silvetti into the and we've really unlocked Tadeo Ashende on the offense. And like I said, with a defender partnership of Noah Allen and Falcon, and I guess with Rocco and the other defenders like Alba and Frey and even Chelo, we have just been we've been basically we haven't been conceding a lot of goals from the run of play, and just only we would just lack on set pieces. But no, I think we've gotten a lot stronger since then, and we do look like an MLS Cup winning team. I can't lie.
And then I'll just add in real quick that since Betty starting over Suarez has really helped defensively because they're defending with 10 now. And Jordi Alba, because Betty has done such a good job, they're playing out as a left wing. Jordi Alba doesn't have to push up as high as consistently. I don't think he has much of a burden to contribute.
He still does it though. He
does. But he picks and chooses his spots now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not. He doesn't have as much responsibility, so there's not as often space left behind him because he doesn't have to do it as often. I think that's contributed a lot in the defense also.
I mean, Messi has been dropping back quite a bit. I mean, like he'll probably won't make like crazy defensive efforts, but he'll drop really deep in midfield, and it really baits whether it's defenders or midfielders in that area, whether around him. He really attracts those guys, and it leaves players like Allende or Silvetti out open to kind of break through, and it's been real killer for our opponents. Him dropping that deep. So Messi's been contributing, dropping deep like that as well.
I saw an interesting stat, and I'm going to present it here to Sam. I'll start with this one because this one I think is a little overblown. But
Okay.
Thomas Müller versus Messi, they've played 10 times. Messi's won 3 times. Only one of those was not a friendly. So 2 of the ones that he won was a friendly. One wasn't a friendly. So Müller has gotten the better of him the majority of the time. I think this is a little overblown, obviously because it's 11 on 11. And on top of that, they don't really cross paths too much on the pitch. So, but, this is what people want to talk about. That's fair. The one that I want to talk about is Messi versus Cubas. The stat that I heard is that Cubas is undefeated against Messi. I believe it's 3-0 or 4-0. Paraguay, I don't know if they drew or they beat Argentina. Matt, you might be able to tell me that. And then, obviously, the 2 games, Vancouver beating Miami. So, Cubas, probably one of the best, if not the best defensive midfielders right now, the way he's been playing so far in the playoffs. He might have been man of the match a couple of these playoff games. That's the matchup I'm interested in. What do you think is the X factor for this game, Sam?
Well, yeah, I mean, you pointed out a good one right there. And I can't remember whether that was it might have just been like a 0-0 draw, Paraguay against Argentina, but I can't
see
remember.
it. No,
But
we lost. We lost
Okay.
2-1. We lost
But
2-1
I
against
remember
Paraguay.
There was a lot of chatter from that match about the work that Cubas did against Messi. And then we also saw, like, especially at BC Place, there was a little moment where Cubas and Messi were jawing at each other a little bit, and they obviously know each other. Cubas is also like a dual national, so he's got Argentinian citizenship as well, I believe. So yeah, I think that's certainly an interesting matchup. And obviously if Cubas is able to stay touch tight to Messi and have some sort of impact that other teams in this playoffs just haven't really been able to you're not going to contain Messi, but at least somewhat limit his effectiveness. That obviously is a big potential X factor. I think for me, so you guys brought up a really good point before about it's the things I've seen throughout these playoffs, right? The fact that there's actually fast wingers now for Inter Miami that are able to press, that helps a lot defensively, in addition to obviously the attack. But then also Rodrigo de Paul and the adjustments they've made in midfield. I still don't love that back line for Inter Miami, but they have so much more cover now. It felt like old versions of this Miami team, if they got stretched, they were exposed going forward in transition, and there was just no help going the other way. Now this Miami team, it feels like there's actually some armor and some defenses in front of that back line. So I think for Vancouver, it's kind of a question of gradually over the course of the 90 minutes, can they start to chip away at that and eventually kind of get to the back line and expose Miami a little bit. But I think there might not be as many clear-cut transition opportunities where Miami just leaves themselves wide open. And so I think for Vancouver, it's going to have to be a little bit more of a patient approach if they want to break down Miami. And that's something that's going to be a little different than what they faced all the way back in CONCACAF.
I think you nailed that.
And Delor's asking, do you think that the hot Miami weather is affecting Vancouver?
I think most of these guys are pretty used to playing in these conditions. I mean, I guess Muller would be
It's not going to be that hot.
maybe one of the ones that's a little less used to it. But yeah, so many of these players on the team, I mean, whether they're from South and Central America or at least have played there consistently, like anyone who plays in CONCACAF, I think knows what they're dealing with here. And yeah, it's not August. It's not, September.
It's going to be really nice. It's like low 80s, no little humidity, probably some wind. Like it's going to be really, really nice.
So I'm not too worried about that. I also think that something that's been honestly helpful to Vancouver throughout these playoffs, as much as they missed out in the top seed in the West and they had to go to San Diego, but Vancouver has missed the teams that I would have been worried about in terms of home pitch advantage. Like going to LAFC would have been very tough. Going to Seattle would have been very tough. Even to a lesser extent, going to Minnesota, like there is good environment there. But I think San Diego, it's a first year team. I don't rate the supporter culture down in San Diego. And then obviously Miami is like its own weird beast, but I don't know if it's like the most hardcore feared environment in the league, right? So I do think Vancouver's been able to miss out on those really daunting road environments. So it is something in MLS we often see such a huge tilt towards the home team. And obviously Vancouver would love to have been in a position where they didn't lose on decision day to FC Dallas and maybe you have a chance to host this match. But I think they've somewhat dodged the bullet there where it's not as bad as it could be at least.
Matt, what do you think is the X factor for Miami? Outside of Messi, of course, because I know that's an easy one.
Mm-hmm. X factor, I've said before the playoffs even started, I was talking about it on my channel that I thought Silvetti would be a really good player coming off the bench, and they completely ran with that. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, okay, let's just start him for a game, and now let's just play him for the rest of the playoffs." And I was really hoping that Silvetti, coming off of that World Cup run down in Chile, that he was doing really good off the bench. So I'm like, you know what, he can definitely replicate this at Inter Miami. Being only 19, he's obviously not going to start over Suarez. Like, what kind of world will we be living in there? And, fast forward a couple months later, that's exactly what we're living in. So, no, I think Silvetti is going to be huge. His speed, I think you can tell he has real confidence. He has real swagger when he comes on the ball. He's technically really, really a good player. And he has no fear. He has zero fear when it comes to taking players on, shooting when he gets that moment. And I think if he can connect or continue to connect well with Messi, with Baltasar, with Allende or Busi or whoever the case may be, I think he can be a real problem on the wing for sure. What about you, Danny?
I also think that the fact that, and this isn't exactly a player, but I think that players know the significance of the final game for Busquets and Jordi Alba. And I think that they want them to go out on a high note. And I think that gives you a little bit more boost, right? You know that boost that people feel like people get when it's a home field advantage, right?
Yeah.
You feel like that boost. I feel like that also contributes a little bit to that also. Just because, you want your boys because they're all friends. I think that they're all really close teammates. I think they're likable teammates. So I think everybody kind of wants to win for them. So I think that that's also something that might give them a little extra push. But I saw somebody put Busquets and Rodrigo de Paul in the midfield. Yeah, absolutely. If Rodrigo de Paul can continue to play like he's played in the playoffs, I think that's big. I also think that Ian Frey being available 100% is going to be big also.
Yes.
Because Ian Frey is a much better right back than Chilwell Gone. And I think the strength for Vancouver is going to be up the wings.
Dude, we were actually having a conversation in my stream before about Ian Frey like playing the full 90 or not, because I was telling them, I'm like, I don't even think he's going to play the full 90. I would hope he does.
He might not.
But I told him, I was telling everybody, they were all clowning me. They were like, yeah, no, he's going to play. He's going to start. I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
So hypothetically,
yeah,
let's say both of you guys are degenerate gamblers. And you guys, for some reason, decide to put the money on the opposing team. Sam, you're like, I'm putting the money on Miami. Matt, you're putting the money on Vancouver.
Okay.
And then game day comes and you're like, that was a dumb idea. But I need to make sure that the other team wins now. So you go up to the opposing coach and you tell them, oh, this is how you beat either Miami or Vancouver. Sam, what are you telling Mascherano?
Yeah, it's a good. I saw it put in the chat as well, so I was kind of thinking about it. It's a really good question. When Vancouver has struggled this year, so say for example, second half against LAFC, and even to some extent the first half against FC Dallas in the first round, it's when the team gets a bit impatient with the ball and they start to play vertically and more direct with their passes, and then those passes start to get intercepted and it leads to transition opportunities the other way. I think that's where Vancouver can get themselves into trouble. It's a defensive line that, while talented, definitely thrives when the team has the ball more often than not and isn't like put in those stretched defensive scenarios. So I think if I'm Mascherano, I'm trying to encourage Vancouver to play the ball directly, to have quick attacks, to not just be comfortable sitting in possession, to kind of like almost invite Vancouver to just hoof the ball forward, because then I think you might get some chances going the other way. That's when Vancouver, most of the year, Vancouver's, I think any match where they've sort of had the type of game they're looking for, they've clearly tilted the field in their favor. It's a reason why they were so dominant over the course of the season. But yeah, if they start to get away from their game, which is possession and control based, then I think, so it's a good question, the one that's put in the chat there. I don't necessarily think it's like high intensity pressing. I think it's almost just kind of like a mid-block that invites Vancouver to be a bit impatient. Like shows just enough of an opportunity where Vancouver wants to, hoof it forward and be direct. But, I think if you go high press, like Vancouver can attack and transition. But they're really at their best when they're in the attacking third, shuttling the ball from side to side, and then they wait and wait and wait, and then they find that seam and they break you down. Often
Miami tends to press high early. Then they play more but early. They try to get on you early in the game.
Yeah,
but you're saying to you would want, as Miami, you would want Vancouver to like force Vancouver to make as many, I guess, mistakes as
direct
possible,
passes.
or like more direct passes to
force
the turnover.
To play a little more direct than Vancouver's looking for.
Sure.
To maybe get a little bit try to frustrate them into getting a little bit impatient. I think whenever Vancouver's been able to stay patient, even if they don't find that breakthrough right away, Vancouver's been statistically like one of, if not the best team in MLS in the last 15 minutes. And I think a lot of that has been due to just gradually kind of breaking teams down, and eventually they sort of fall apart. But when Vancouver doesn't have that patience, that sometimes that's when they've got themselves into trouble.
Okay. Matt,
Pretty good.
what are you telling Jesper Sorensen?
I would tell him a few things. Well, I wouldn't tell him to put 4 guys on Messi, because that clearly didn't work against NYCFC.
I don't think Vancouver will be doing that, especially having Kubas on the pitch.
Yeah, I think that's the right move, because I think the mistake with NYCFC is that they focused too much on Messi, and yes, they didn't allow him to do anything or much.
Right.
But we ended up scoring 5 anyway.
But he ended up doing enough where he took enough people with him, right?
Right, exactly. So I would say I think set pieces are a little bit of a weakness for us. Yeah. Taking quick set pieces, like if I would tell them to take quick set pieces, we tend to fall asleep. We tend to complain to the ref a lot, or get distracted by yelling at you guys, at the other players, and then we'll kind of lose focus, and then we'll leave somebody open, and boom, that you guys can strike there. So I think that would be a big advantage for you guys. I would also say, watch Maxi Falcon's positioning, because Falcon tends to he's instructed to push pretty high up depending on the scenario. So he'll like leave his back line and he'll push up, and then once that happens, we're so exposed at the back. Like, we're super incredibly exposed, and that almost happened against NYCFC. It's happened like in other games, but I remember in NYCFC it happened a couple times where Maxi Falcon would be out of position, or he just would lose to his man, like 1v1 he would lose, and they would almost get an opportunity. So I would say watch for that Maxi Falcon. Watch for the Falcon, take off. You know what I'm saying? And then I think other than that, I would tell him to just pray that Messi doesn't shoot. And
Messi magic. NYCFC, like you said, they had 4 or 5 people on him almost at all times. Like they would close on him as soon as he touched the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that was only the 5th time in his career that he doesn't get a shot off. Like he had
in
no
his
shot.
Career?
Yeah, he had no shot attempts.
That's really crazy.
That's only the 5th time in his career. They made it a point. Like if you're gonna beat us, you're gonna have everybody else beat you. We're not gonna lose to you. Yeah. And that's what happened. They ended up getting 5 put on their head. But that was the game plan. Make sure Messi doesn't beat you, and they did.
No, for sure.
So,
also in the chat they say target Chelo. Yeah, target our right back.
I definitely don't think that Chelo's going to restart. I think it is going to be Ian Frey.
If he is, you'll know what the plan is.
Yeah. All right, so I guess it's prediction time. Sam.
Yeah, so I've already done this on our podcast, so I've gone for a bit of a surprising one, because I think
let's hear it.
The thought would probably be that there's going to be several goals in this match, but I find like these cup finals often tend to be kind of cagey in low event. So I've gone for an extra time 1-0 Vancouver Whitecaps victory. Wow, and my added spice on that is that the goal is a Sebastian Berhalter shot from outside the box.
Oh, he's got the leg for it.
Yeah. I think this one could be quite tactical and kind of low event, because these teams, if they, as I expect them to, kind of battle for the ball, it could be a lot of middle of the pitch kind of back and forth, and maybe not as many clear-cut scoring chances as we might think.
As much sense as you're making right now, I really hope you're wrong. I really don't want that. From an entertainment perspective, I really hope you're wrong. But for me, I gave my first prediction when we were on the battered Herons, the state of the Herons, and I said the complete opposite. I said it was like I said a 3-3 draw, and we would win on penalty kicks. Like very similar vibe to I was hoping for the similar vibe to the World Cup. Not that it would match that energy, but that we would get as many goals as that. And I think that would be pretty poetic too, in a way, if you want to promote do the whole marketing thing, which I don't buy it, but if you want to do the Messi versus Muller thing, I think it'd be pretty poetic to do a 3-3 draw and like kind of win it like a World Cup final.
I don't know that kind of I think in that instance, Takioka is probably better than Rocco.
Apparently, I can't speak like a Vancouver expert, but apparently Takioka is like insanely good. Like he's insanely cracked in between the sticks. I mean, definitely, I feel like there's a lot of goalkeepers better than Rocco. It's not like Rocco's nothing special.
Well, I mean, hey. He hasn't faced a lot of shots he's faced
that's also
less than 20 shots in the playoffs so far.
But every shot that has come to him, he would save it.
He made that
huge block.
That one save against NYCFC where
changed the game.
It very easily could have been a different match. So, he has showed up, but that is something I wonder about in the final. Like, he's a young keeper, hasn't been in this scenario before. I wonder, he's been really good in these playoffs, but goalkeeping, we don't talk about it a lot, but it is something that in cup finals can,
1,000%.
I got visions of Karius in my head and at Liverpool, and you just never know when that's going to be the story.
Gifting the ball away.
Yeah.
That was a bad game, man. Oh my God. I remember that so vividly. That unlocked a memory in my head.
That was crazy.
Don't pray that on us, please.
Well, I appreciate both you guys joining for the preview. The best of luck to, Sam, let everyone know where to find.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this goes. I'm excited either way. It's been a lot of fun to come on this show and chat MLS with you guys over the course of the regular season and the playoffs. But yeah, you can find me at thirdsub.ca, the Third Sub on all your social platforms. Check out our written work and our podcasting stuff. And looking forward to this weekend.
Matt, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, guys, you can find me everywhere at SoFloSoccer. We do same thing as Danny and the Battered Fans. We do a lot of Inter Miami content. I also do a lot of Argentina and just like football related content on YouTube in general. So if you like that sort of thing, feel free to subscribe.
Rico's asking, are you going to be at BC Place when you're crying after the game? Apparently.
Yeah, I no matter what happens, I will be at BC Place. So that's where you can find me.
That's pretty cool.
Is it true that they've sold like 15,000 tickets already?
I think it's at least 15,000. It could be like 20 by the time it's all said and done. I think they had 10-ish for the watch party for San Diego, but yeah, this is obviously a big one, so it should be good.
That's exciting.
It's gonna be a fun atmosphere in both places. Both stadiums are gonna be rocking and rolling. I wish it wasn't such an early start. It's 2:30 in Miami, so it's what 11:30. Ugh,
what?
Yeah.
That's
terrible.
awful.
They want to appeal to that European and international audience, I think, right? Like
That's
that's why.
4 o'clock like last year though.
Yeah.
That's rough. 2:30. Even for us over here, I'm gonna go to the game, but I'm having a hard time getting there on time because my daughter has a soccer game in the morning. So,
well, it's also maybe because I think there's football Saturday too. I don't know. I don't really keep up with the college
championship games.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with that stuff, but that's apparently yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us to give us the preview, and we'll be back after Saturday talking, obviously, the game. If you're listening on audio, please leave us 5 stars, comments, and if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And for those of you in the chat, as always, you guys are the best part of the show. Appreciate you hanging out with us for the last 37 minutes, and we will be back probably Saturday night to talk the results. So until the next one, have a good one.